September 11th, 2001. Two planes, two towers. One day that changed everything. The 21st century began with terror, continued with technological revolution, and exploded with division we haven't seen since the Civil War, from the last superpower standing to a nation questioning itself. From the dawn of the Internet to AI that might surpass human intelligence. From hope can change to unprecedented polarization. In just 3 decades, America transformed more rapidly than any previous generation could imagine. This is our story. This is modern America. And we're living through history we don't yet understand. September 11th, 2001, 8:46 a.m. American Airlines Flight 11 crashes into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. At first, people thought it's a terrible accident. Then, 17 minutes later, United Airlines Flight 175 slams into the South Tower. The world watches in horror as both towers burn. At 9:37 a.m., a third plane hits the Pentagon. At 10:03 a.m., passengers on United Flight 93 fight back against hijackers, crashing in a Pennsylvania field rather than hitting the intended target, likely the Capitol or White House. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapses. At 10:28 a.m., the North Tower falls. Nearly 3,000 people are dead. America, untouched by foreign attack since Pearl Harbor 60 years earlier, is vulnerable. The sole superpower, seemingly invincible after winning the Cold War, has been attacked by 19 men with box cutters. Everything changes, but September 11th is just one chapter in the story of modern America. In the 3 decades since the Soviet Union's collapse, America has experienced technological revolution, devastating wars, economic crisis, historic political milestones, and social divisions deeper than any time since the 1960s, perhaps since the Civil War. This is the story of modern America from 1991 to the present day. It's a story of triumph and tragedy, innovation and inequality, hope and division. It's a story that's still being written, with an ending no one can predict. December 1991, the Soviet Union dissolves. The Cold War is over. America stands alone. As the world's only superpower, the 1990s begin with extraordinary optimism. Communism has fallen. Liberal democracy has won. Historian Francis Fukuyama proclaims the end of history. Not that events will stop, but that liberal democracy is humanity's final form of government. President George H.W. Bush speaks of a new world order based on international cooperation. When Iraq invaded Kuwait in 1990, Bush assembled a global coalition. Operation Desert Storm liberates Kuwait in just 43 days with minimal American casualties. American military technology, precision-guided weapons, stealth aircraft, GPCs. Overwhelming. America seems unstoppable. But Bush loses re-election to Bill Clinton, a young Arkansas governor who campaigns on domestic issues. It's the economy. Stupid. Clinton promises to focus on America's problems: healthcare, education, the deficit. The 1990s boom. The economy grows steadily. The Internet emerges from military and academic networks to become a commercial phenomenon. Netscape, Amazon, Google, eBay, companies that will define the future, are founded. The dot-com boom creates instant millionaires. People believe the business cycle is over, that tech will produce endless growth. Unemployment drops to historic lows. The budget deficit becomes a surplus, the first in decades. Crime rates fall. Teen pregnancy drops. The stock market soars. Clinton himself is popular despite scandals. His affair with White House intern Monica Lewinsky led to impeachment in 1998, only the second president impeached. But the Senate acquits him, and his approval ratings remain high. Americans care more about peace and prosperity than personal morality. Culturally, The 90s are optimistic. The world seems to be getting better. Technology is connecting people. Democracy is spreading. America is diverse and vibrant. Hip-hop becomes mainstream. The internet enables new forms of expression. Multiculturalism is celebrated, but warning signs exist. The 1993 World Trade Center bombing and attempted terror attack that fails to bring the towers down is largely forgotten. The Oklahoma City bombing in 1995 killed 168, perpetrated by American domestic terrorists Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nichols. In 1998, Al-Qaeda bombed American embassies in Kenya and Tanzania, killing over 200. Most Americans don't notice. The 90s feel safe. The biggest presidential scandal is a sexual affair. The biggest controversy is whether the Millennium Bug Y2K will crash computers. On January 1, 2000, nothing happened. Computers keep working. The new millennium begins peacefully. 20 months later, everything changes. The September 11th. Attacks were planned by Al-Qaeda, an Islamic extremist organization led by Osama bin Laden, a Saudi millionaire who fought against the Soviet Union in Afghanistan in the 1980s with American support. Bin Laden turns against America, objecting to U.S. military presence in Saudi Arabia, American support for Israel, and U.S. foreign policy in the Muslim world. His goal is to draw America into expensive, unwinnable wars in the Middle East, exhausting and bankrupting the superpower. President George W. Bush, who took office just 8 months earlier after the closest, most controversial election in over a century, addresses the nation from the rubble of the World Trade Center 3 days after the attacks. Standing with firefighters, he declares through a bullhorn, "I can hear you. The rest of the world hears you. And the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon." Congress passes the authorization for use of military force. Only one member of Congress, Representative Barbara Lee, votes against it. Bush announces a war on terror that will target not just terrorist organizations, but nations that harbor them. In October 2001, American forces invaded Afghanistan, where Al-Qaeda has bases and the Taliban government refuses to surrender. Bin Laden, the Taliban regime falls quickly. It seems like a swift, successful war. But then comes Iraq. In his 2002 State of the Union, Bush names Iraq, Iran, and North Korea as an axis of evil. The administration claims Iraq's Saddam Hussein possesses weapons of mass destruction and has ties to Al-Qaeda. Neither claim is true, though the administration believes, or claims to believe, they are. In March 2003, despite massive global protests and without UN approval, America invaded Iraq. Shock and awe. Overwhelming air power devastates Iraqi defenses. Saddam's regime collapses in weeks. On May 1st, Bush landed on an aircraft carrier under a banner reading "Mission Accomplished." But the mission isn't accomplished. Iraq descends into chaos, looting, insurgency, sectarian violence. No weapons of mass destruction are found. Al-Qaeda wasn't in Iraq before the invasion, but the chaos creates space for them. American troops fight a grinding counterinsurgency against a growing insurgency in what becomes ISIS. Afghanistan, meanwhile, deteriorates. The Taliban regroups. American forces fight on two fronts in simultaneous wars that drag on year after year. At home, 9/11 changes everything. Airport security becomes invasive. The Patriot Act expands government surveillance. Fear of terrorism pervades daily life. Muslims and those perceived as Muslim face discrimination and hate crimes. The Bush administration authorizes enhanced interrogation techniques, torture, though they don't call it that at facilities including Abu Ghraib, prison in Iraq, and Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Photos from Abu Ghraib shock the world. American soldiers humiliating and abusing Iraqi prisoners. America, which invaded Iraq claiming to spread democracy and human rights, is accused of war crimes. The moral high ground is lost. By 2008, over 4,000 Americans had died in Iraq, tens of thousands wounded, and hundreds of thousands of Iraqis dead. The war costs trillions, and there's no end in sight. Osama bin Laden remains free. The war on terror has become exactly what bin Laden wanted, an endless, expensive quagmire that weakens America while radicalizing Muslims worldwide. September 2008. Just as the nation focuses on a historic presidential election, the economy collapses. The roots go back years. After the dot-com bubble burst in 2000, the Federal Reserve kept interest rates low to stimulate the economy. Low rates fuel a housing boom. Home prices soar. Banks lend to increasingly risky borrowers subprime mortgages, then bundle these mortgages into complex securities sold worldwide. It's a house of cards. When housing prices stop rising, subprime borrowers default. The securities become worthless. Banks that invested heavily in them face ruin. In September 2008, Lehman Brothers, a 158-year-old investment bank, collapsed, the largest bankruptcy in American history. Credit markets freeze. Banks won't lend. Stock markets crash worldwide. The global financial system teeters on the edge of complete meltdown. The Treasury Department and Federal Reserve take unprecedented action, bailing out major banks, insurance companies, even automobile manufacturers. Too big to fail. They're called. The government spends $700 billion on the Troubled Asset Relief Program, TARP, buying toxic assets, and bank stock. It works. The financial system stabilizes. But millions lose their homes to foreclosure. Unemployment hits 10%. Trillions in. Wealth evaporate. The Great Recession is the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. And unlike in the Depression, the people who caused the crisis, bankers and executives, receive bonuses, while ordinary Americans lose everything. The anger and resentment will reshape American politics. But November 2008 brings a historic moment. Senator Barack Obama defeats Senator John McCain to become America's 44th president and the first African American president in history. For many Americans, especially Black Americans, it's a moment of profound significance. The nation that enslaved millions, that fought a civil war over slavery, that enforced segregation for a century, has elected a Black president. Obama's inauguration draws nearly 2 million people to Washington, the largest attendance of any event in the cities. History. Obama's message is hope and change. Yes, we can, his campaign declares. After 8 years of Bush, 2 wars, and economic collapse, Obama promises renewal. His first term focuses on economic recovery and health care reform. The 2009 stimulus package, $787 billion in spending, prevents deeper recession but adds to the deficit, angering conservatives. In 2010, Obama signed the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, expanding health insurance to millions. It's the most significant social legislation since Medicare in 1965. Republicans oppose it unanimously. A battle over health care becomes emblematic of deeper divisions. The Tea Party movement emerged in 2009, a conservative backlash against government spending, bailouts, and Obama himself. Tea Party candidates win major victories in 2010 midterm elections, giving Republicans control of the House. Political polarization intensifies. Republicans in Congress adopt a strategy of total obstruction. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell states their goal is to make Obama a one-term president. Compromise becomes impossible. Government shutdowns become routine. Meanwhile, movements emerge challenging the status quo from different directions. Occupy Wall Street in 2011 protests inequality and corporate power. We are the 99%, they declare. highlighting wealth concentration. The Black Lives Matter movement formed in 2013 after George Zimmerman was acquitted in Trayvon Martin's death. Protesting police violence against Black Americans. The nation is fragmenting along multiple fault lines: racial, economic, political, cultural. While wars and economic crises dominate headlines, a revolution quietly transforms everything. The technological revolution. In 2007, Apple introduced the iPhone. It's not the first smartphone, but it's the first that's truly smart, a powerful computer in your pocket. With a touchscreen, apps, and constant internet connectivity. The smartphone changes everything. Within a decade, billions of people worldwide carry them. We navigate, communicate, shop, bank, date, entertain ourselves, everything through these devices. We're connected 24/7, for better and worse. Social media explodes. Facebook, founded in Mark Zuckerberg's Harvard dorm room in 2004, has grown to over 2 billion users. Twitter launched in 2006, Instagram in 2010. YouTube has become the world's video platform. These aren't just communication tools. They reshape how we interact, get news, form opinions, and see reality itself. The technology revolution brings benefits. Information is democratized. Anyone can learn anything, share ideas, build communities across distances. Economic opportunities emerge. You can start a business from your laptop. Medical advances accelerate. Communication is instant and global, but there are dark sides. Social media becomes a platform for misinformation, conspiracy theories, and foreign manipulation. The 2016 election sees Russian interference through fake accounts and targeted ads. Echo chambers form. Algorithms show us content that confirms our existing beliefs, making different political tribes live in different realities. Privacy evaporates. Tech companies collect massive data on our behavior, preferences, locations. Surveillance by governments and corporations becomes ubiquitous. We trade privacy for convenience without fully understanding the bargain. Jobs disappear due to automation. Manufacturing jobs that once sustained the middle class vanish, replaced by robots or moved overseas. Inequality grows. Tech workers in Silicon Valley earn millions while factory towns become Rust Belt wastelands. The American dream seems further out of reach for millions. And technology keeps accelerating. Self-driving cars, renewable energy, genetic engineering, and artificial intelligence. AI can write, create art, diagnose disease, beat world champions at complex games. In 2022, OpenAI released ChatGPT, and suddenly, AI that can converse, reason, and create is available to anyone. By 2023, AI advancement accelerates exponentially. Some experts predict artificial general intelligence, as smart as humans across all domains, within years. Others warn it's an existential threat. We're living through a transformation as significant as the Industrial Revolution, possibly more so. But unlike the Industrial Revolution, which unfolded over decades, the AI revolution is happening in years, maybe months. And we have no idea where it leads. June 16, 2015. Donald Trump descends a golden escalator in Trump Tower and announces his candidacy for president. He calls Mexican immigrants rapists and promises to build a wall. Most people think it's a publicity stunt, but Trump taps into deep anger at politicians, elites, economic decline, cultural change. His message is simple. America is losing. I'll make it win again. Make America great again, his red hats declare. Against all predictions, Trump wins the Republican nomination, defeating 16 other candidates. Then, in November 2016, he defeated Hillary Clinton. Despite losing the popular vote by 3 million. It's one of the biggest political upsets in American history. Polls, experts, the media, everyone is wrong. Trump's victory reveals how disconnected coastal elites are from millions of Americans in rural areas and small towns. Trump's presidency is unlike any other. He governs by tweet, attacks critics, viciously dismisses media as fake news, and breaks norm after norm. His supporters love his combativeness. His opponents see him as authoritarian, racist, and dangerous. Political polarization reaches levels unseen since the Civil War. Republicans and Democrats don't just disagree. They see each other as threats to America itself. Mixed political marriages become rare. People won't be friends with those who voted differently. We live in different information ecosystems, with different facts, different realities. Trump is impeached twice, first for pressuring Ukraine to investigate Biden, then for inciting the January 6th Capitol attack. Both times, Republicans acquitted him. Party loyalty trumps everything. Racial tensions explode. On May 25, 2020, Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin kneels on George Floyd's neck for over 9 minutes, killing him. Video of Floyd's murder spreads worldwide. Protests erupt in every state, the largest protest movement in American history. Black Lives Matter becomes a rallying cry for millions demanding police reform and racial justice. But it also produces backlash. All Lives Matter and Blue Lives Matter counter-movements. The debate over racism in America becomes another. Dividing line dot, then comes COVID-19 in early 2020. A novel coronavirus emerged in China and spread globally. By March, America is in lockdown. Schools close. Businesses shut down. People wear masks. The death toll climbs 600,000 by mid-2021, over 1 million eventually. But COVID-19 becomes politicized. Masks, vaccines, lockdowns all become partisan issues. Trump downplays the virus, suggests injecting disinfectant, holds rallies without precautions. His supporters refuse masks as statements of freedom. Science itself becomes political. The pandemic accelerates existing trends: remote work, online shopping, social media dependence, inequality. Essential workers risk their lives while they wealthy work from home, and division. November 2020. After 4 tumultuous years, Americans vote in record numbers. Joe Biden defeats Trump by over 7 million votes. Trump refuses to concede. He claims, without evidence, that the election was stolen through massive fraud. Dozens of lawsuits are filed and lost. Election officials, many of them Republicans, certify Biden's victory. The Trump administration's own cybersecurity chief calls it the most secure election in American history. Trump fires him. On January 6, 2021, as Congress meets to certify electoral votes, Trump holds a rally near the White House. "We fight like hell," he tells thousands of supporters. "And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore." The crowd marches to the Capitol. They smash windows, assault police officers, and storm the building. Members of Congress flee. The vice president is evacuated. Rioters roam the halls, some searching for specific legislators. Some carry zip ties for taking hostages. Gallows are erected outside. 5 people died. Over 140 police officers were injured. It's the worst attack on the Capitol since the British burned it in 1814. For several hours, American democracy hangs by a thread. If rioters had reached members of Congress, if Vice President Pence had fled and couldn't certify the results, if the military had sided with Trump, any of these could have led to a constitutional crisis or worse. But institutions hold. The military stays neutral. Pence refuses to overturn results. Congress reconvenes that night and certifies Biden's victory. Trump finally agrees to a transition, though he never concedes. On January 20th, Biden was inaugurated behind unprecedented security, 25,000 National Guard troops protected the ceremony. The peaceful transfer of power, which America has maintained for over 2 centuries, happened but barely. Over 1,000 rioters are eventually charged. Trump is impeached for inciting insurrection, but Republicans acquitted him again. And Trump remains the dominant force in Republican politics. The 2022 midterms see election deniers run for offices overseeing elections, secretaries of state, governors. Most lose, but some win. Trump announces another presidential campaign in 2024. Political violence increases threats against election workers, attacks on campaign offices, an attempted kidnapping of Michigan's governor. American democracy, which once seemed secure, now seems fragile. Trust in institutions crumbles. A significant portion of Americans believe elections are rigged. The media is fake, science is lies, and political opponents are enemies, not fellow citizens. We are a nation divided against itself. And history teaches what happens to such nations. Where are we now in 2024? America remains the world's most powerful nation, largest economy, strongest military, most influential culture. But power and influence are declining relatively. China's economy rivals America's. Multipolarity replaces unipolarity. America can't dictate to the world like it did in the 1990s. At home, challenges mount. Climate change accelerates wildfires, hurricanes, droughts. Income inequality is the highest since the Gilded Age. Life expectancy is falling, the only developed country where this is happening. Infrastructure crumbles. Education outcomes lag peer nations. Deaths from despair, suicides. Drug overdoses claim tens of thousands annually. Yet Americans remain deeply divided over basic facts and solutions. We can't agree on problems, let alone fixes. But there's also progress and hope. Renewable energy grows rapidly. Marriage equality is legal nationwide. More women and minorities hold positions of power than ever. Younger generations are more educated, diverse, and globally connected than any before them. Technology continues its exponential advance. AI might solve problems we can't, or create new ones we never imagined. Space exploration is reviving private. Companies launch rockets, Mars missions are planned. Medical breakthroughs extend and improve life. Clean energy might solve climate change. We live in an age of extraordinary possibility and extraordinary peril. Which path we take isn't predetermined. It's a choice we make collectively, day by day, decision by decision. The question isn't whether America can be great. It's what kind of great America will be. From the Cold War's end to the present day, just 3 decades. Yet they feel like centuries. We've experienced technological revolutions that connected the world and divided us. Terrorist attacks that shook our sense of security. Wars that drained treasure and lives without clear victory. Economic crisis that exposed inequality. Political polarization that threatens democratic foundations. We've also elected the first Black president, expanded rights, created world-changing technologies, and demonstrated resilience through pandemic and crisis. Modern America is contradictory, powerful yet vulnerable, innovative yet nostalgic, diverse yet divided. We're experiencing growing pains as we transform from what we were to what will become. Every generation believes they're living through unprecedented times. Maybe we're right this time. The challenges we face, artificial intelligence, climate change, nuclear proliferation, pandemics, democratic backsliding, are genuinely existential. They require solutions we haven't yet imagined. But Americans have faced existential challenges before revolution. Civil War, Depression, World War, Cold War. Each time we've survived, often emerging stronger. The question for modern America, for all of us living through this history, is simple yet profound. What kind of nation will we build? Will we bridge our divisions or deepen them? Expand democracy or restrict it? Address inequality or accept it? Rise to challenges or retreat from them? The answers aren't written yet. We're writing them now, in every choice we make, every vote we cast, every conversation we have. This is modern America. It's messy, complicated, frustrating, inspiring, terrifying, and full of possibility.